I'm much more curious whenever you guys were first, and I'm sure you guys are still doing it, but whenever you guys were first going to announce the launch of HOU NIL, how much did you look at what some of other places at different universities were doing when it came to name, image, and likeness? And I guess it's different for you guys because you guys are much more unique in one way, but I'm sure you had to see what other schools were doing.
Yeah. Well, you have to see, what are collectives asking their collective members to pay? Mm-hmm. And what are other groups, asking from the general public? And we were looking for somebody that was doing a content sort of focus like we're wanting to do. We haven't found exactly what we're doing. We have seen others that do kind of interviews one-on-one, which are great, but there's a limit to the depth and the quality of how much I, as a 5'9" little guy, can talk with Juwan Roberts. I mean, what am I going to understand about what he's doing? That's where Galen has helped us a ton. But we haven't seen anybody who has athletes writing essays. We're going to do podcasts. I'm certain that's out there. I haven't seen it. So that we have not really been able to look where others are doing right or wrong. But we're always looking.
Mm-hmm. Kind of going back to the advisory board, obviously Galen is involved with basketball. You have a person that oversees for football and baseball. How important is it to not just focus on those big brand sports, but across the board? Because you mentioned you're working with several athletes as well. In particular, you want to get that women's sports perspective. Mm-hmm. Where do you see HOU NIL? Maybe not within the year, but in the future, about where it can get there. Where is your perfect vision for HOU NIL?
Our perfect vision is we're working with every athlete that wants to do it, and that we have the money to pay them for their time and their expertise and the stories that they're going to tell. I need women's sports to be a part of this. I have always had a soft spot in my heart for Lady Cougs basketball. I was the first beat writer ever for women's soccer at this school for the Daily Cougar. And, I played golf with half or most of the women that play golf for us. So I love those sports, and the athletes, they have stories. And that's so much more interesting to me than this guy's an All-American or this guy's whatever. I want the stories. The stories are what hook people. And I think women's athletes have just as many stories to tell as anyone else. You've got a world-class track program here. We don't hear about those stories. I want to hear that. And I think HOU NIL can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, there's a whole bunch of different programs that have had success. And just look at the swimming and diving program as well. Another one that's, constantly been at the top in the American Athletic Conference. Yep. And you don't necessarily hear, like you said, those stories that kind of going into the media world specifically, they draw to that human interest story, that aspect of it with a whole bunch of different ways. There's a whole bunch of different athletes that have stories to tell. So that's awesome to hear. I kind of want to transition over to, I guess, a bit of a fun question, but do you have a memory and something that sticks out to you? You don't have to go into any specifics, because I'm sure you guys are still constantly working on new stuff, but an experience that sticks out working, it could either be with your advisory board, with one of the athletes that really, I don't know, just sticks with you.
Well, we're still pretty new into this. But hearing Galen Robinson, a great point guard, talk with Jamal Shed about point guard work, I can't begin to understand everything that they said. And I have it on video, and I'll watch it over and over, and I still don't understand everything that I'm hearing. And Galen has been great in teaching me intricacies that the common fan doesn't see. And Galen's going to be great at that as the season goes on. Jamal too. But it has been just getting to hear the different stories and the different perspectives and see a side of athletes that we don't see on the day-to-day. Jamal Shed is funny. He's interesting. you don't necessarily see that because he's a point guard. He's got to be focused and the most accountable on the floor. But he has a story. He has a lot of stories, and we're going to tell those. I can't wait to get into that.
That's awesome. Once again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me and speak with me throughout the course of these previous segments. Once again, this is Ryan Monceaux. No, I did not.
Like you're sewing.
Oh my goodness.
Sew.
It's been all the segments. I got it. Monceaux. I got it. And I will put it in my brain. It takes me a few times to figure it out. Ryan Monceaux.
And your name's Andy?
Actually, it is.
Really?
No, I'm joking. I'm messing with you. No, it's Andy Yanez, but Ryan Monceaux.
Okay. Andy. Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, thank you for taking the time out of your day to speak with me, especially on HOU NIL, and especially what you guys are doing. Like I said, it's something unique. You guys are working straight with the athletes, and giving them their perspective to tell their stories from their viewpoints, which again, it's something that, like you mentioned, you guys looked at what a lot of different other name, image, and likeness entities, collectives are doing at different universities, and there's not necessarily one that's exactly doing what you guys are doing, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
For sure.
And
for those,
subscribe. Just go to HOUNIL.com, go to the subscribe button. There are plans for every price point. If you want to give a ton of money, please. If you can't do that, there's options for you. Everybody gets the same content. There's no better or worse. Everybody gets the same.
Absolutely. And on that note, I'd like to thank you again for joining me. If you are interested in following Ryan and Go Cougs on Twitter, that's at GoCougs1, all lowercase. I'm sure you'll be able to see it in the description below. But thank you again for your time. And is there anything else you'd like to end on?
No, sir. Thank you, Andy.